everybody. My name is Joe Appello. George Conrad to my left. Welcome to the All Sports Talk Show with Joe and George. George, how you doing?
It's getting cold out there. But today we're gonna have a spooky show today.
Oh, I'm scared.
We're recording this on Halloween.
Okay.
Joe's dressed up as Bill Parcells tonight.
Yeah, or Bob McAdoo, whatever way you want to look at it.
Parcells had a better record.
Parcells. Yeah. If I'm gonna make the dinner, let me buy the groceries. Right. That's the greatest quote ever. All right.
We'll get to your Giants later.
Yes, we will. That's definitely a topic of discussion today. First thing I'd like to do is congratulate the Red Sox. Yay.
Two New York fans here.
Yeah,
obviously.
They put it to the Dodgers, and seems like Alex Cora made all the right moves, and Dave Roberts made all the wrong moves, in my opinion. As far as that goes, I mean, managers don't win or lose games, but players do. But I mean, in those situations with the matchups and the lineups and the moves you make to the bullpen, they're all magnified so much, and you can't be off. And I thought Cora really made some great decisions and utilized all his personnel at the best at the right time, compared to what Roberts almost was going by some kind of book or some kind of script. It seemed like, and nothing from his gut. But
and that, I mean, I think in baseball, I think the great coaches, the great managers, I think it is a blend of that. They have all the metrics. They have all the computer stuff that. In this situation, the pitcher tends to throw this, that, and the other thing. But then there, like you say, there has to be that.
But it's not a video game. You know what I mean? I mean, it's just that's why I don't.
Yeah.
I think they overthink things. Baseball is a very simple game. You pitch, hit, and throw, and if you do that better than the other team, you're going to win.
Quote out of Bull Durham right there. You throw the ball, you hit the ball, you catch it.
And you run. And no lollygagging.
No lollygagging.
Can't lollygag.
Yeah. So I guess as going into the playoffs, going into this World Series, the only real pressure on the Red Sox is, what a disappointment it would be to win 106 games and then not walk away with the World Series. It was really never in doubt. And
generally speaking, the best team in the regular season doesn't necessarily win the World Series.
Right.
I don't know what the percentages are, those numbers.
There's been, since the start of the All-Star or the wild card, there's been a lot of wild card teams that have made it to the series.
There really is no correlation. I mean, obviously you jockey for position regular season for the playoffs as far as home field and things like that. But yet, bottom line is you got to hit and pitch better than the other team.
Yeah,
and get hot at the right time.
One of the earlier shows we talked about, with the wild card and players can't necessarily, or teams can't necessarily shut guys down too early because of the one-game playoff. I don't think the jury's in on, is it better to, in the case of the Red Sox, have everything wrapped up early and rest people because sometimes that works and sometimes it doesn't.
Right. I think one of the things for me, like when Game 1 of the World Series, Mookie Betts leads the game off against Kershaw with a line drive up the middle, almost takes Kershaw's head off. First pitch, steals second. And it just like he was just like, okay, we're here. And it's on. And that kind of, for me, that set the tone.
And I think everybody got a free taco for that.
That's right. That's right.
I didn't take advantage of that.
That's not yet, though. It's November something.
Oh, okay.
November 6th, maybe. Somewhere around there.
Text me.
Between 3 to 6, something like that,
November 6th. Oh, that could be good.
Somewhere around there.
Like George Mason Patriots opened up the college basketball season.
Oh, there we go. Big day. Big day for you.
Taco dinner.
Big day for you. You only get one taco free, though. Only get one. I don't know. That might have been only stolen base, too. I don't remember. Anyway, so the Red Sox won the first game 8-4, and they beat Kershaw. Now, that was a really good game, right down to the wire. A couple different counter moves that they made. Ryan Madson came in, and Rafael Devers got a big hit in the seventh inning, and then Nunez hit a pitch hit, home run, 3-run shot to kind of put it away. It was 5-4 at the time. He had a 3-run bomb. And he pitched it for Devers at that point. So that was it's almost there. The second game, Red Sox won 4-2, and that was David Price pitched a magnificent game. Game 6 innings, and then Cora mixed and matched the bullpen, and that was a 2-0 lead for the Red Sox. Now Game 3 was amazing. The 18-inning marathon there, the longest game ever in the World World Series history, I believe.
Yeah.
And I, being whatever I am, I stayed up till 3:30 in the morning and watched the whole darn thing. And I'm like, what am I?
Full disclosure, I did not.
What am I? I'm like, what am I doing? And I'm not watching that. I really didn't care who won either way. But I was just like, you know what? The World Series, Game 3, why not?
Yeah.
So I went to bed like 3:30. Got up at whatever, and that was an epic game. Evaldi for the Red Sox, I think he was 6 shutout innings.
Yeah.
He gave up the home run to Max Muncy for the eventual game winner. But that was amazing. That was an amazing game. That was
Interesting.
fun to watch.
Again, you were away. Well, you might have been away for you. You might have missed the pitch here. Couple of runs scored on fielding errors, and some like little squib hits thrown into right field, but yeah, I mean that could have ended it there.
Yeah.
But then I think when the Dodgers lose the next game,
It was amazing the way they had.
Once you go down 3-1.
They had, I mean, how long can you go after 8 innings? I mean, they had no team any pitchers left.
Yeah.
I think the Red Sox were warming up. That was Evaldi's last inning, no matter what. Muncy hit home run, and then they had to bring in Drew Pomeranz. That was the only guy left in the bullpen, I think. And then Game 4 was a 9-6 game that the Red Sox won.
They came back the night. They were down 4-0.
They were down big 4-0, yeah. And they came back, and Mitch Moreland had a home run.
And the President of the United States called him out on that.
Yeah.
So why are you taking the pitcher out?
That's right.
Great.
That was Kenny Hill, right?
Yep.
Kenny Hill.
Yep.
He was dealing, and got a couple of angles on the story with him. He was, I think he had a lot of one hit. It was the 6th inning, and then Roberts goes out to the mound. He says to talk to him.
Okay.
Now, normally, the only time that Roberts goes out to the mound is to make a pitching change. So Hill thinks...
So he'll send the pitching coach.
Right, just to talk or confer or strategy or about a batter or pitches or whatever. So Roberts goes out to the mound. He says to talk to Hill.
Yeah.
Hill thinks that he's coming out of the game because Roberts is on his way out. He, like you say, he never comes out to make the... never comes out to just to talk.
Just to talk, yeah.
That's what he was doing. So he goes out to the mound, and Hill tosses him the ball, thinking I'm out. And Roberts turns around and was like saying to himself, where are you going?
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like too late, and he already walked 10 feet off the mound. And he said, okay. So he made the change. That was the alleged story from both ends.
In which case, they don't have somebody ready to go.
The guy was ready.
He was
ready, yeah, but it was just, I don't know, was Roberts covering his own tail or, from my point of view, Hill was just nasty and dealing. I would not have made that change.
Yeah.
He got game 4. He maybe pitches again in Game 7 if they need him, if they get that far.
Yeah.
But what's the difference? Another inning, another 20 pitches, 30 pitches. Your arm's not going to fall off the mound. And, like The Walking Dead or something. I mean, it's just. I just think they get so conditioned with all these matchups, and then he made that change, and Moreland hit a 3-run homer off Ryan Madsen, and that was essentially it. And then Game 5, 5-1 Dodgers, 5-1 Red Sox, and Price was amazing in that game.
Yeah.
And Steve Pearce had the big home run.
Pierce get the MVP?
He did.
Yeah.
He did, deserving so, yeah. He's a 35-year-old journeyman that's played for all 5 teams in the AL East. Every one of them he played for, yeah. And just a good guy. He's from that area, too, I think, from Boston area. And it was good to see him get the MVP. I think that was good. I mean, case could have made for Price. Price had two good starts, and he warmed up. I think he warmed up in almost every game, and he came in relief in game 3, I think. So, I mean, he was awesome, too. I'm not a big Price. I don't like the guy, but I mean, not that it matters. But he kept him in every game, and I think Cora was masterful at using Porcello, Evaldi, Price when he needed him.
Yep.
Kimbrel looked like he got his act together on that, and they were the best team. I mean, best team won, and they always come up. You know what's the amazing part about it? At one point in the series, I think the top 4 batters for Red Sox were like, I want to say 4 for 32 or something, and they weren't doing anything, and they still had a 3-1 game lead, series lead, and they hadn't really hit the ball. It was all different guys all the time.
Scored a lot of runs, yeah.
And all with 2 outs again. They were like 16 for 22 with 2 outs or driving the runs.
Yeah.
And so I think it's what it takes to win a championship. You have kind of unsung heroes, guys. Do different things.
Everybody's got to do their thing, and you always need somebody to rise to the occasion, a la Daniel Murphy in 2015.
Now, the interesting thing about the Dodgers is Machado. being a free agent and go wherever he wants. And I think he lost a lot of juice or whatever you want to call it. They relied on him as a dirty player. He stepped on Jesus Aguilera's ankle in the previous series with the Brewers, stepped on his ankle, and they almost had a brawl on that. He had one ball in the Red Sox series that looked like he was going to go out, and he didn't hustle. You got a single on it. I don't know if he would have got a double if he was running hard from the beginning.
But I don't care who you are. You never want to see that.
It's amazing. He just jogged it out, and then he's like, well, I thought it was out. I mean,
and that's where I give credit to, I wish I could say that, the New York Mets never do that, but I never see a Yankee do that.
Right.
I don't think I ever see a Red Sox do that. So,
that's right.
And I think that's a cultural thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In which case, if Machado's doing that in L.A., if he were to end up with a different franchise or different organization, that gets tough.
You can't hustle on the world's biggest stage in the World Series. When are you going to hustle?
Yeah,
like in May, sometime May 5th or something.
Yeah.
So I mean, these guys are amazing. These guys have been billions of dollars and just run the first base for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Is that a big deal? And then you always put pressure on defense. You hustle on the first base, the outfielder might look up, bobble, whatever,
sure.
and you've got something going on. But if you jog the guys like I don't, no problem there.
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. There was. I actually don't remember who the second baseman was now, but it was, in one of the dark years for the Mets. But it was a Subway Series. Nothing right now.
Felix Mian, maybe.
I don't remember.
Okay.
But it popped up to end the game to second baseman.
It was Felix Mian.
The Yankees had a guy on first. He scored.
Yep. Because he was running.
Because he was running. Routine pop up, like I say.
That's right.
You look at that, and unfortunately, there's a lot of guys that would be, maybe forced out at second.
Right.
The game's kind of over and just
right.
call it.
I think the art of base running is over is underscored too, because these guys, you sit there. First thing you do when you're on the bases, if you play a lot of baseball, you look and see where the outfielders are. It's the first thing you look at. Where are they?
Yeah.
Then when a ball is hit, you look at the trajectory of the ball and the position of the outfielders and who's out there, and then you make a decision to go or stay. And you can't rely on the coaches.
You tag.
Yeah, and like a guy like who's tremendous at that is Aaron Judge. He's a tremendous instinctive base runner, big as he is, and he always makes the right decision there. And I mean, that wins games for you, little things like that.
Yeah, at the end of 162 games, that could be 2 or 3 games right there.
So it's a neat baseball season. And then you have all your off-season stuff that starts with, I think they have 3 days after the World Series ends for the players to declare free agency, or the teams to make an offer sheet. So I think the Yankees are going through that with Brett Gardner right now. I don't know what they've decided with him. Yeah. But so they'll start to merry-go-round with players going different places.
Yep, and all the rumors and then here's what's now my magic ball. I can see into the future. The New York Mets will not make a big move. They will not get huge bats. They will not spend a lot of money.
Probably right.
But I said it earlier in the year, and I'll say it again. The Wilpons it'll get out there, whatever else. This is how much money we're going to spend in the off season, and that's it. And they'll spend more than that. It's kind of a game that they tend to play with the agents. Well, we only have $15 million to spend, blah blah blah, and then they kind of wait towards the tail end of when there's these free agent guys that are sitting around out there that don't have a team yet, and it's getting close to reporting to spring training, and then they'll grab somebody there, a Todd Frazier type player.
Right.
But the big news for the New York Mets, got a new general manager.
I saw that.
Brody Van Wagenen.
And he's a player's agent, right? He was an agent.
He was an agent. He co-founded the sports division at Creative Artists Agency, CAA. So that company basically they're repping screenwriters, actors, actresses, musicians, that kind of thing. But he founded the sports aspect of it.
And he was an agent. He has like 10 of the Mets, right? I mean, he negotiated Cespedes' contract and the
Cespedes, DeGrom, Syndergaard,
all the big guys.
Frazier, Selman.
Yeah.
So he was the guy back in the middle of the summer that told the Wilpons either sign DeGrom to a big contract or trade him.
Right.
Now he's the guy that would be told that. He's now the agent.
Interesting.
No experience ever working for a major league team.
Now, how's that work as far as him being representing these guys anymore?
Well, he can't represent them.
Okay.
So that would be a conflict of interest. So all those guys, he'll turn them
His
over
company
to
still does,
somebody at CAA.
Right.
You know, so it's really, in some ways, there's always going to be some type of a conflict of interest.
Has to be. I mean,
Now, he's got to, put himself, okay, I am no longer.
Do you think that was part of the reason he was hired? Mm-hmm. Little intrigue there.
I think he was hired as a yes man.
Yeah.
I think the Wilpons
But Wilpons aren't really involved that much, are they, or no?
they still run the checkbook.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, they don't seem to be too. You don't see I don't see him at the game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But somebody's only see him
not
all
like
the
back in
time.
the Doubleday.
Yeah, like Jerry Jones or something.
Well, we don't need that either.
yeah.
But yeah, so he's got to divorce himself as an agent.
Now, what happens to three guys that were the interim general manager?
They're hanging around. From what I understand.
Mo Larry and Curly, where are they?
Talk bad about Omar Minaya. We're going to go to blows. My thinking is they like those guys in there.
Yeah.
I think, as a Met fan, I wouldn't mind seeing one of those guys become a general manager, including Omar Minaya. But I think, I don't know, the Wilpons. I don't think the Wilpons were willing to make Minaya the.
It's always a tough thing business-wise too when you have too many voices.
Yeah.
I mean, you go like
Too many cooks ruin the soup.
you have a meeting with a bunch of people and then like 5 different opinions, and then you don't know you're getting anywhere, and then this guy likes this, and so I don't know how that'll play out. I mean, they'll have to be on the same page, obviously, and then one guy doesn't like it, who gets to say so, and then where's it go from there? I mean, that's an interesting scenario.
I think, one of the big. I don't think when they brought Minaya back, I don't think it was in any way. I think the overriding thing was that they really lost all of their Latin American
Minaya was
system.
He's a go-between with the Latin American.
And he's good at that. And
but you need that, yeah.
And we can go through his whole history again if you like.
No, thanks.
But that was his.
20-hour show.
When he came to New York, that was his.
Yeah,
thing.
that was his thing.
And he got Pedro Martinez was the first big signing.
Right.
He got Delgado for a song.
Right.
And he signed Beltran, and,
Right.
he kind of created a new brand there.
Right.
And it worked. I mean, he did a lot of good things.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, right towards the end, he signed Jason Bay, which every Red Sox fan.
Man, that was
if you're a
something
Red Sox
else.
fan and you told me this,
incredible.
you're gonna love Jason Bay.
Yeah. Incredibly.
He was the second coming of Bobby Bonilla.
Incredible.
He was the second highest paid outfielder for the Mets the year after he stopped playing.
Incredible.
Bobby Bonilla still making more money.
Right, and rightfully so. When you pay him, 25 years, okay. Probably about 400 pounds, man.
Again, I don't expect the Mets to, to go crazy like the Steinbrenner era Yankees.
They really don't.
They need some bats.
Yeah,
They need to do what they need to do to keep their pitching staff together. They got rid of the Harvey, which he was the problem. Keep those pitchers together, and then they got to get some bats.
And they got to get a catcher. Their catching has always been a mess since Paul Laduca was the last guy that was decent.
Fantastic.
But I mean,
ultimate.
JT Realmuto is looking to get traded, so that would be a great pick for them if they could get him.
Yeah, Laduca was he was a great defensive catcher.
Yeah, clutch.
And that's when Reyes was there the first time.
Yeah.
He was fast, and Laduca was the ultimate number 2 batter.
Yeah.
I think that first year, 2005, it was 2006 when they almost made it there. I think he struck out like 17 times. It was ridiculous.
Right. Yeah,
so that was when you had Reyes if Reyes got a walk or a single.
Well, so it looks like now that Bruce played in first.
Yep, Bruce at
And they'll
first.
probably give this Peter Alfonso a look
Yep.
from the minors because he's 26 or 27. It's either time to go or not.
Yeah.
And then Jeff McNeil looks like he's solid at second. Rosario played well at short.
Yep.
And I guess Frazier, but they got those other guys, T.J. Rivera and Evans, Philip Evans, I think, were third baseman. Mm-hmm. They're coming off injuries. I don't know what their status is as far as health-wise.
I kind of like Rivera from what I saw.
Yeah, he was one of an overachiever that worked hard.
Yeah.
Toiled in the minors and got a shot and did well, and then he got hurt. Yeah. And of course, you got the key to the whole team, in my opinion, Cespedes.
Still Cespedes.
As far as like banking the Mavericks, they're very, very good.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll still be decent with that pitching, but Cespedes puts them in the hunt.
Yeah, but you can't have another season like poor DeGrom had this year.
Yeah.
With just I don't know what he ended up with, 1.75 ERA.
Then you got Lagares to be back. What he'll do, I don't know if they'll keep him or not in center. And then they got Nimmo, and they got Conforto. So their nucleus is set there.
Yeah.
And I think catching is a main concern for me, and then maybe a top-notch closer. Because they got Gazelman and they got Lugo, and they got the other starters.
Yeah, they had that little period with Billy Wagner as the closer.
Yeah.
That was at the end of Wagner's career.
Yeah.
But he was solid.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's forever been. I say
They've never had.
You had Wagner for that little window.
Yep.
Nothing ever came of it.
Yep.
And then you got to go all the way back to Franco in the 80s
Yeah,
before you had somebody when here's poor George, tired, want to go to bed. Mets got a 2-run lead. Okay, let's wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
Face 3 batters. Oh no, we got to put the tying run on third. And we got to throw 37 pitches.
Yeah, the Millies do it all the time. Make it a big drama thing. Yeah. So anyway, I don't think they're. Not that far behind, but the problem is that the Mets are always going to be second fiddle to the Yankees, like the Nets and the Knicks. I don't. It's just the way it is.
Little run there
yeah,
in the 80s.
Just the way it is. I mean, it's just is what it is.
Well, you get 2 World Series versus 27. So
yeah,
kind of tough to
tradition, everything. Yeah. But I mean, then the Yankees. I haven't heard anything earth-shattering about them at all. As far as I think the big decision was CC and Brett Gardner, if they're going to keep them and not re-sign them, which I doubt. But Ellsbury will be back. And, in theory, you let go of Gardner, you got Ellsbury, you got to pay him anyway. You got to pay him $22 million a year anyway for 2 more years. You might as well play the guy, and he's not that bad. I mean, he can do it. He can do probably a little bit more than Gardner can at this point in time. He still can run pretty good, and defensively he's good, and hits a little bit. So I think that's the way they're going to go. I think they're going to cut Gardner, or not re-sign him, and then bring in Ellsbury, Hicks.
Is his contract up, or he's going into the last year?
Gardner's contract's up. Him and CC are done.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they want to sign him, if they want to sign him at at a reduced rate, from their point, they could.
Yeah.
But I don't see how that would help you at all. And the other thing too with the Yankees is that they also still have Clint Frazier, who shows some flashes of really, really good play, and he could be their 5th outfielder. And I think they want to do something with him, either get rid of him, trade him, or play him at the major league level, because he can't play in the minors anymore. The guy's like 24, and he had a tough year last year with his concussions, and he never really got his chance, especially when Hicks went down. The perfect opportunity. The Judge went down, but he was hurt. Yeah. He was in concussion protocol, so he couldn't even play, and that was his big opportunity. Mm-hmm. So but I think they're still high on him, and I am too. I think he's a good player. Got great bat speed. He's a good outfielder, and so that would be your 5 outfielders: Ellsbury, Frazier, Judge, Hicks, and Stanton. I mean, those are your guys. And then infield, I think they go with Voit and Walker at first. Now, Didi's had Tommy John surgery, so he's out for probably maybe till May, June. Who knows? I mean, who knows when he comes back? He's had it already. He's rehabbing. Okay. That could take anywhere between 9 months and a year. So. We'll see how that goes. What they can do, they can put Gleyber Torres at short and put Tyler Wade at second and go with that. And they got Ronald Torres still there. And then they got Andujar still at third. So, Didi is not going to hurt that bad hurt them that bad by not being in the lineup.
Yeah.
They have guys that can play there. I don't think they want to keep shifting Gleyber Torres back and forth, but he was a lifetime shortstop until he came out to the Yankees and they made him a second baseman, and he's just a tremendous athlete. And and the problem is Gary Sanchez. Can he come back and hit what he hit 2 years ago, and defensively get over some of those things that he's done? But they're pretty much intact too. I can't see him spending any money. I would love to see him trade Stanton. I'm not a big Stanton fan. I mean, they don't need him. I don't think he's going to put them over the edge. And the way he played in the playoffs, or didn't play in the playoffs, I mean, he didn't come up with the big hit. And, you can spend all the money you want on some of these guys, but if you can't play in the big moments, the clutch, to me, what good are you?
Yeah.
You can bring those big stats all year.
Well,
but then,
if you play for the Mets, it's good. You get win some games, get to keep the fans excited, but you never really play in the big games.
But that was so special about the Red Sox is they had different guys come through at different spots, and and the big guys didn't come through, but the other guys did, so that's why they were able to be world champions. And then you got the Dodgers. They had
11. Is that right?
Well,
in their franchise, 11 World Series
for the Red Sox.
Yeah. Now, granted, he had a 72-year period or whatever.
I don't know if it's 11. No, they only won the World Series in 2004. It was the first time, wasn't it?
Well, first time since 1918.
Well,
I'm saying in their franchise.
In franchise.
Hey, you Yankee guys
Yeah.
are counting some of those early ones. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Well, I know that.
So this is their fourth in the modern era?
I think since 2000, the Boston City has had
That's
11 champions. That's what it is. That's what it was. Yeah, I heard the same thing on the radio.
And the Sox have 4, right?
Sox have 4. The Celtics have 1.
One.
Bruins have a couple.
And the Patriots.
And the Patriots have 3 or 4. So that's your 11. Yeah, that's what you heard.
Okay.
Yeah, I heard the same thing. Yeah, so they've had 11 championships in their 4 major sports since 2000.
Okay.
Since 2000, that's what it was. Yeah, because Patriots have 4 or 5, I think. So then the Red Sox have 4 or 5, and then the Bruins
Sox
have 2.
Yeah.
And then Celtics have 1. So I think that was it. But yeah, so all right, let's move on to pro football. We'll do our little recap from last week. We're not going to recap 2 weeks ago, but we'll recap this past weekend. Now the Bears beat the Jets pretty good, 24-10. Khalil Mack didn't play. He's got a minor injury, but he should be back next week.
Yeah.
Bears, got back on track because they got beat by Miami the week before.
Yeah, they had a horrible game.
Horrible game against Miami,
Which,
yeah.
it was bad timing.
Yeah.
Jets.
Then the Eagles,
The Bears are a quality team.
good team. Yeah.
It's kind of that monsters of the midway type defense now. They're coming back. So
I think the biggest liability they have is Trubinsky. He just hasn't played enough, and he is even in college. He only played 10 games in college, so I mean he's still growing, and learning on the job. The Eagles beat the Jacksonville Jags in London, 24-18. The Jags.
wake up early for that one.
No, I didn't.
No.
It wasn't even on TV, but they had.
Really?
No, it wasn't on TV. No. And they had 4 guys.
Makes 0 sense to me.
4 guys that were arrested the night before.
Yeah.
They didn't pay their restaurant bill or something like that. And that was, come on. They said they didn't know they had a bill or whatever.
Yeah.
So anyway, so they're in a downward spiral. They just signed a quarterback. Oh, they just signed Jarvis Landry, not Jarvis Landry.
To back up Bortles.
To back up Bortles, Landry from Oklahoma. The back up Bortles. I mean, he goes up and down. He had a terrible game 2 weeks ago, but he played a little bit better against the Eagles. Seattle beat Detroit, big game. Russell Wilson, has carried that team on his back for the last 3 years, had a good game. Chiefs beat Denver by 7. Steelers beat the Browns, and then the Browns fire Hugh Jackson, then they fire Todd Haley. Now that is such a. The Browns will win 2 games this year, and they fires the guy after he was 1-31 the last 2 years.
Yeah.
So the last 40 games, the Browns are 3-36-1.
Yeah.
And it took you this long to get rid of Hugh Jackson. And the rumor had it, him and Haley were feuding, and then he said to Haley, "I could help you out." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he goes, "No, I really mean I could just help you." And Haley's probably like, "I don't need your input." So they fired Jackson, and they thought that Haley might possibly take over as head coach or be retained. They fired him too. So Greg Williams, I think, is their head coach now for the time being, and it's just incredible how these franchises could be such a mess. Year after year after year, and they've had some great they've had some high draft choices. I want to say made draft choices, and so they're like I said, they're 3-36-1. And I saw one guy on ESPN says, it's hard to do. It's hard to be 3-36 for anyone, at any level, and that's what they did. So so that was something. Now, our Giants lost again. I'm wearing this jacket, just kind of a passing tribute towards a team that could be defined as the worst team in football, as they are 1-7.
1-7.
And Eli
They started 1-6.
Yeah.
1-7.
3 years in a row.
This year is more demoralizing.
Oh.
There's nothing to look forward to.
Eli is. I wasn't a big Eli fan, but he gets back there in the pocket and he's like, he falls like a cheap suit. He's like afraid. Where these other guys, Roethlisberger guys, are like, get off me, and he creates some space and they make the throw. He just he gets a little pressure, kind of cringes his shoulders, and he has that dumb look on his face, like, ooh, and it's like, are you kidding me? And he has guys open. I think a lot. Of course, offensive line has issues too, but I mean, you've got to. He's not the only quarterback in the world that's had a bad offensive line.
Yeah.
And He doesn't. He's got a lot of weapons. But the funny part about the Giants, I watch them every week. They've lost a couple of tough games, but as bad as they play, they're still like one play away or two plays away from winning the game.
Yeah.
Every week.
Yeah.
I mean,
And so I was talking to a friend of mine who's been a lifelong Giants fan, and there's some holes in his theory. But he said when Scott Norwood missed that 47-yarder to lose the Super Bowl, Giants win. That's in the Parcells year.
Yep.
They just cashed in all their chips there.
Yeah.
And people do not miss field goals against the Giants. 61 yarders,
Yeah.
58 yarders, 64 yarders, and like you say, somehow they're in these games close.
Yep.
But these monster field goals at the end of the game or whatever else it happens to be.
Yep.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson had 126 yards against them, and I got a guy's about 98 years old.
Yeah.
And he had a 64-yard run that really iced the game for them. He also had a big fumble where the Giants took over, but they only got 3 points out of it. Anyway. And then the Giants start cleaning house a little bit. They get rid of Snacks Harrison, and then they get rid of Eli Apple. Eli Apple they shipped to the Saints. And ironically, the Saints had like an all Ohio State defensive backfield now. They got who else is back there? Eli Apple's back there, and a couple guys that played for Ohio State anyway. I don't know, maybe it's attitude, maybe they were just like, okay, enough of these two guys. It has to be that, because their level of play was not any worse than anybody else on that team. So why those two?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Next guy to go is probably Janoris Jenkins. He's like he's always attitude to me.
Now, Eli Apple, wasn't he the source of some?
Yeah, him and Collins had it going at it last year, and Collins said he was a cancer and he didn't deserve to be there.
Bad work ethic type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And then he apologized to him, and they were all nicey nice. But then, I don't know. He was on the game when he played the Vikings this past week. I watched some of that, and he was holding these guys every single time he was covering a guy. He called it like twice. That'd be 5-6 times where you could literally see him grabbing a guy and they didn't call it.
Yeah.
But I think he's notorious for that. That's probably one of the problems that one of the reasons why they get rid of him. Now the Saints, Rams continue to roll 8-0.
Yeah.
Still look like the best team in football.
Chiefs.
Chiefs, yep. And Chiefs too. I don't know if the Chiefs are as good defensively as the Rams are defensively. I think that's a different. I think both offenses are very, very potent, obviously. But I think the Rams are a little bit better defensively. And they just got Dexter Fowler from Jacksonville.
Yeah.
It's a defensive end. He was a first-round draft choice, but he has some off-field issues. He's got some anger management stuff that he's gone through. But he's talent-wise, really, really good player. They got him to start up their rush. So, but they play the Saints this weekend at New Orleans. Mm-hmm. So I think you hear right here, Saints win that game. Okay. The Saints, you just can't win every game like the Rams are doing. They should have got beat by Packers. I thought they had. Yeah. Packers should have beat them. And that Packer game, you see the end of that game when Ty Montgomery. First of all, you got no timeouts left. I'm not sure the exact time. Maybe under a minute to go. Montgomery runs it out. Why are you running it out? First of all, you're going to take 5, 6, 8, 10 seconds to run the ball out. You're not going to let you run it back,
right.
And you're going to get tackled, so you lose that. So of course he runs it out in the end zone and gets hit, fumbles the ball, and the Rams have the ball. Rodgers would have had the ball to go 75 yards, no timeouts. He's done it before, mm-hmm. And if anyone can do it, he's the best at it.
Yeah.
I think Rodgers is, to me, the best quarterback I've ever seen play. I don't care what anyone says.
Not this system.
Brady and everybody else. I just think the guy.
Not necessarily the weapons.
The guy makes throws that no one else can make. He puts the ball in a spot that it's incredibly. You could drop it there.
And he can elude. He's not quite Ben Roethlisberger, but he can extend the play.
Yep.
He can rush for.
Yeah.
Any given day, he'll
flick of the wrist. Any body movement, right, left. He just flicks the wrist and puts it right there where it needs to be put.
Yeah.
He's tremendous as far as the line play, the scrimmage, line of scrimmage where he gets guys offside and the cadence and things like that.
Yeah.
And just a competitor, tough. He'll run the ball if he has to because he doesn't want to. Yeah. And I just think he keeps Green Bay in the game every single week. You got him. You always got a chance. No matter where you run it, he tries to score from anywhere on the field at any time. He hits the right guy all the time. I just think Rodgers is just, to me, the best. And I'm a little bit of a Packer fan because of him. I just think he's just so special.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
He really is. You know.
Yeah, you're watching a Hall of Famer.
Then it was interesting with the end of it.
Interesting too. Just I don't mean to interrupt, but actually I don't care about it. I do it all the time.
That's why we're here.
In today's day and age, where you take this number 1 draft pick and you feel obligated to put him under center week 1, Rodgers. It wasn't his choice by any means, but he held the clipboard for 3 or 4 years.
3 years, yeah.
And the Packers certainly got their money's worth.
I think in a perfect world, that's the best way to do it if you have a good guy. From that though, I don't think Brett Favre even talked to the guy though. I mean, that was interesting.
There was a threat there, yeah.
Yeah, he didn't.
So he watched by. Well, he learned from coordinators and being there and running the scout team.
In a perfect world, you mentor the guy and then you work with him and then he takes over when you leave.
Yeah.
But
the issue with that is, I mean, when you sign your first round draft pick, how many years of contract do you sign it to?
The rookie contract, I think, is a 3 or 4 year rookie contract.
So
it is now. I don't know if it was back then though.
Yeah. And maybe that's part of it, right?
Well, the other thing too is like
this idea I just thought of.
Well,
you get your number 1 draft pick. So say there's a lot of number 1 draft picks that went to quarterbacks this year. Then you say, okay, we're going to have you sit for 2 years. Well, I got 1 year left on the contract. I don't know what the guy can do.
Right.
So now I'm in the year where I need to be renegotiating the second contract. And the guy's only played 6 or 7 games.
Well, there's always that scenario where, in theory, you're drafting guys to take your job. So why would you help the guy?
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, part of it's just not going to.
Yeah, and I mean, and then you have to have that ego. You have to have that chip on your shoulder. I don't care who you are. This is my team, my job, and. Okay, I'm not going to help you. Why should I help you?
Yeah.
They're not paying me to actually help you. And then you come in, take my job, and I sit, and then what happens to me and my family? So, I mean, so you really can't, you can see both sides of that.
Yeah.
There's no question. But I don't know if you have to be enemies, though, I mean.
Yeah,
But
Favre was in his career, he was every bit as much of the Packer guy as Rodgers is now.
Right.
Now Favre ended up going to the Jets and then to the Vikings, which was really a kick in the face. But you'd like to think that there's still some players out there that spend that long of their career with one franchise that they're actually they keep the best interests of that franchise as a priority.
Yeah. I think
there's not a lot of Derek Jeters
I think football is different because you're one play away from like so we say being a security guard. Someone blows your knee out and stuff. So I mean,
but you get to a point where Favre was by the time Rodgers got there. I mean, how much money does this guy need? He's already got all his. He's got his Tommy Copper contracts, his Lee Jeans. He's made millions and millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, he also had addiction problems too. He had with painkillers and things like that. So he was going through all that. So I mean, that's something you don't know behind the scenes. I mean, Rodgers could be saying this guy's out partying and high on Oxycontin all the time, and I'm sitting there, not playing at all. I mean, they think he's wonderful. I mean, obviously we don't know that. I shouldn't even say that, but the ins and outs of that. But yeah, I mean. In a perfect world, you come in and you sit for a year or two under a guy that helps you out, and then he fades off into the sunset, and then you come in. Well, that's kind of what the Chiefs did with Mahomes. They knew it. They knew he was talented, and at the proper time, they got rid of Alex Smith. And then now look what Mahomes is doing. Mahomes, but they obviously knew that, and they were confident that he could handle it. Otherwise, they wouldn't have made that move. They would have
kept him a first rounder, right?
He was a fourth rounder, I think.
Fourth rounder.
Yeah, because he was a. He was back and forth at Texas Tech and a few other teams. But yeah. Now, we went to college football. You got Alabama plays at LSU this Saturday, which is a big game.
Any predictions there?
Alabama wins easily.
Easily,
yeah. For the simple fact that I think it's going to be close for a while, but I don't think LSU's offense can stay with Alabama's offense.
Okay.
I just don't think they can for 4 quarters.
Start off as a shootout.
And then 14-10 at halftime, and then Alabama scores again, 21-10, and then LSU's got to do some things they're not used to doing. I think Alabama just kind of rolls it. Yeah. You just can't. In order to play Alabama, you've got to be able to score with them, and not many teams can. And LSU certainly, the guy Joe Burrow is a quarterback. He's okay, but he's no. The way Tua's been playing, he hasn't been challenged. I think for them, they know that this is the biggest game of their season, and it's their chance to show everybody, we are that good as we have been playing. So I think, in my opinion, of course, I could be wrong. It's in LSU though, and LSU's got great athletes, and who knows if any team can
Saturday
beat.
night in LSU was a tough.
Exactly, Baton Rouge.
Tough game to play.
If anyone can beat Alabama, it could be LSU.
I went out. I was down there when I have a cousin that lives in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
And I went down there one time. They were playing Notre Dame on Saturday night. I was in New Orleans, rented a car, drove out to see my cousin. Friday afternoon, 4:30 in the afternoon or whatever. He's like, "Oh, come on, I'm going to show you around campus." And he drives around this net. Parking lot's 2/3 full. Yeah. 27 hours before
For the game.
kickoff.
Wow.
Big, huge RVs, this, that, and the other thing. And the party starts Friday afternoon.
Sure.
And by the time the ball's kicked Saturday night.
Did you go to the game?
No, I did not.
Probably couldn't get tickets, though, right?
No, my cousin has season tickets, but he's got one seat.
Oh, okay.
So, and he didn't give it to me. But I was actually heading back
Okay.
later
Yeah.
that day. But I mean, it's a huge home field advantage for
Yeah,
LSU.
yeah.
Now, can that overcome
Yeah.
the Crimson Tide?
A team that's been in the championship for 2-3 years in a row, and the big stage, I don't know, doesn't really phase teams like that.
Yeah.
Generally, but
Yeah.
I think Tua early hasn't been hit that much too, and you don't know how. Is he fragile? Can he take a pounding? I mean, he's not the biggest guy in the world.
Nobody touches him?
Nobody touches him. Yeah. So I mean, that's the other thing too, and how he's going to react with a lot of pressure on him. So I mean, the spreading game is 14 points. So I mean, if you get a low scoring game,
recreational
LSU,
purposes only.
absolutely. So I mean, that's if LSU wins that game, though, in theory, both teams could go to the playoffs, to the Final Four.
Yes.
So if it pans out the right way. Now the other thing is Penn State plays at Michigan. Michigan's obviously have the biggest game for them all year. Penn State to me is very, very vulnerable. I watched them play against. They played Iowa this past weekend, and Iowa should have beat them actually. Mm-hmm. And I think Penn State's got a lot of holes, and they rely on Trace McSorley. He went down hurt.
They graduated a lot of
guys, yeah. And I think Michigan at home, the way they've been playing better every week. I think they're gonna put a smacking on Penn State. I think so too.
Yeah, okay.
Because you got the final first poll came out this past weekend for the Final Four, and it was Alabama, Clemson, the usual 1-2. Sure. Then the next, I think LSU was 3, and then Notre Dame was 4. Now Notre Dame's interesting. Notre Dame actually can make the Final Four. If they win out, there's no other way they can keep them out of there.
Yeah.
And they don't have that many challenges coming up. I mean, all the games they have are winnable. Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. And then Georgia and Ohio State on the outside looking in.
Yeah, Ohio State had a bad loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So I mean, you got obviously halfway through, but you see how who beats who now. I think Michigan's the one that kind of controls everything. And they go through Ohio State and they go through Penn State. They even though they lost Notre Dame, so it's not a bad loss.
Right.
Michigan. So I mean.
So you predict maybe that Ohio State jumps LSU, knocks LSU out of the 4?
I think Michigan's a team.
Or Michigan.
Michigan. I think Michigan goes.
Michigan knocks LSU out.
Yes. Yeah, I think Bama beats LSU. Michigan takes that third spot. Notre Dame continues to win.
Clemson
and then,
continues to win.
Yeah, Clemson. And then you got Georgia, Ohio State outside looking in, which, Georgia's got a chance if they make the SEC championship game,
right.
A chance to advance. And Ohio State, kind of the same thing.
Even with that SEC championship game, I mean, it's pretty safe to go on the assumption that Alabama's going to be there.
Right.
So if you beat Alabama in the SEC championship, you don't really knock Alabama out of the 4.
No.
You just
maybe knock them out of the top spot.
Right.
But they'll definitely be 3 or 4, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a thought process there. The other thing with college football, this is interesting about this transfer rule, though. They have Kelly Bryant. I don't know if he decided where to go because he played 4 games for Clemson, then he decided to sit out. Mm-hmm. I don't know where he's going. He's still looking at a couple of different places. Yeah. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback for Clemson now. Big, strong, legit freshman, and he looks. And they have another quarterback that's real good there. So they, they'll be right there. As long as Lawrence doesn't get hurt.
Yeah.
So now you got college basketball starting this weekend too. It's coming up. You've got Duke, Kentucky.
Well, I already said we got George Mason playing UPenn. Why are you laughing?
That's
Hey, we went to the Final Eight one year.
That's a white knuckler. That's a white knuckler. Yeah, Duke, Kentucky, I think right off the bat, I think they're playing second game of a doubleheader, Michigan State, and
Kentucky will start 5 freshmen.
yeah.
Because they don't have any sophomores, probably.
Then Duke's got all those, Zion Williamson, a couple, they get the
You get your 4-year universities, then you got your junior colleges, which are 3-year universities, and then you got Kentucky, which is
I want to done that. Duke's,
a 6-month.
Duke's been coming that way too. Boy, they've had their guys calling through their
What a
guys.
turnaround for that. I mean, Duke as an institution is,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah. Those guys actually go to class.
And for a long time under Coach K there, that's how, you know.
I mean, Grayson Allen was one of the few guys that actually was a senior and
yeah.
went through the whole thing. Now Villanova's been
You go back 5-6 years, and you had a lot of seniors.
always, yeah.
Yeah.
And Villanova has had guys stay through
Yeah.
the whole time too. And then
Well, Villanova, I mean, from everything I can tell, and my father went to Villanova, full disclosure, so
Okay.
I tend to follow him a little bit
Hey, you've
more.
been throwing out all the connections here.
Oh,
Dave.
yeah, you know, hey, you know.
Okay, where'd your sisters go?
St. Joseph's University.
Okay, I gotta get a
Home
shot.
to Jim Calhoun. But Massimino, who coached them into the
Yeah.
85 championship against George
Ed Pinckney, Georgetown.
Ed Pinckney,
Yep.
Patrick Ewing's
Yep.
Georgetown. He left there not too long after. And basically the behind the backdoor story was he was trying to get a lot of players into the program that didn't fit academic standards, if there's any other thing, and Villanova wouldn't have anything to do with it. And so Massimino ended up going to actually UNLV before Turkanian.
That's right.
He was a bit of a high roller
Yep.
and wanted them to really relax the standards, and they wouldn't. So that's not who they are. So they're down to number 9 in the preseason rankings, which.
Right. One of the best stories I heard, I was watching ESPN has a series called A Basketball Love Story. It's pretty neat. It's this guy spent 3 or 4 years putting together all these small, almost like 30 for 30 videos on all different aspects of basketball, from like the 80s all the way up through. They went over
Historical pieces, technically?
pretty much, and they would focus on a certain aspect. Like they did last night was Gino against Pat Summit. They went over that.
Wow.
They were talking about the Dream Team, and then I was watching, and there was a special on Shaq. Shaq, do you know a story about Shaq, how he ended up at LSU? It's the best. So his father was a military guy. I think they were in Germany or somewhere overseas, and Dale Brown was over there for some reason. I don't know if he was recruiting other guys. So he goes on to the base where Shaq was and his father, and Shaq wants to meet Dale Brown. He's 13 at this time. So he walks up to Coach Brown and says, "How you doing, Coach?" He goes, "Good." He goes, "What's your name, soldier?" And Shaq goes, "Soldier, I'm 13." He goes, "Excuse me?" He goes, "Where's your father?" So he got his father in there because I can't talk to you,
Right.
but I can talk to your father.
Yeah.
And he says, his father goes, "Listen, where you will go, where you end up, where you raise, I don't care. You get a hold of me, I will get your son a full scholarship to LSU. And I will do whatever I can to make him a man and watch him throughout his career." And then that was the beginning of.
They did.
And he did. And he went there and played there. He said, "You can go anywhere you wanted." He said, Coach Brown was like a father to me. He says he mentored me, and he goes, "I'll never forget it." He says, what's your name, soldier?" He goes, "I'm 13. And at that point, I guess he was like 6.
I was going to say probably 6'2".
Like 6'10". No, he was bigger than that. He was like 6'10" at that point as a 13-year-old over there. Yeah, so it was like, that was an amazing story.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting story. And then Gino and Pat Summit, that was pretty interesting the way they went through that. Where
Was there? I mean, I'm asking because I don't know. Was there actual animosity between?
there was. What they said was the reason the animosity is that Pat Summit had accused UConn of using illegal recruiting tactics. Once UConn got to the point where they were.
That never happens at a UConn basketball.
Well, once they got to the point with the women that UConn had beaten Tennessee and posed a threat to their supremacy, because they were like UConn is now.
Yeah.
They played at Gambell, and it was UConn was number 3 or 4, and Pat Summit's team was number 1, and UConn beat them by 4 at UConn, and it was just like, it was funny because they won the game, and UConn women go in the locker room, and then they came back and they go, "Gino, nobody wants to leave." So what? Nobody's leaving. So kids went back out again.
Oh, no kidding.
Because they were there for like a half hour. No, everybody's standing like this. And they went back out and they applauded them and stuff like
okay.
that. That was kind of like the beginning of
was the
we
start.
arrived, we're here, we're good. Then they went all the way through. That was the year they were undefeated. And they played Tennessee for the championship that year.
Okay.
And they beat them. They beat them. They had Rebecca Lobo and Jen Rosati.
Okay.
And they had, who else was there? A couple, obviously,
Kara Walters?
Walters was there, I believe, yep. And Lobo, Walters.
Maybe a freshman or
Yep.
something when
Yeah,
Lobo was a
Lobo and Jen were the starters, and they had a couple of obviously good players, and they beat them in for the national championship, beat them by
I just want
7
to
or
point
8.
out that I pulled out a name of a woman college basketball player.
Do what?
I
Yeah,
came up with a name.
I'm impressed with her.
Pretty good.
Yeah. Now, Pat Summit, interesting story with her. She died at 64.
Yeah, she was
only
young.
64.
Yeah.
Yeah, she had Alzheimer's and then went down pretty quick with that, and that was heartbreaking. And then the reason why that they stopped playing. She would not play UConn because she accused. Neither of them would say why to stop, and she just said,
They just stopped
yeah.
on
And he says, she says, Gino knows why we're not playing anymore.
Okay.
And he said, well, yeah, I know why. And he said, you want to tell us why? He says, well, she thinks that we're elite recruiting. Because at that point, they were all going after the same players.
Sure.
Because all the girls wanted to either go to Tennessee or Connecticut.
Yeah. Yeah.
And-
So just the top 20 ranked.
Yeah, they were all one or the other.
Yeah.
So she accused them, and Tino's like, she's nuts. We don't do anything different than anyone else does. They want to come to UConn and come to UConn. Yeah. So that was a rift, and she never admitted that. But look at that. That's why that they didn't put it. But
So in this show, he couldn't find any place where Pat Summit said they're recruiting illegally. That's how we're going to play.
No.
Gino did say that she thinks we're doing this.
right. She never admitted. She goes, actually, he knows why. And then he came out and said because she thinks we're illegally recruiting these athletes. So that was a rift, and it was a shame because man, back then, Tennessee UConn was like the best to watch. The women's basketball was it was so exciting. It was like because nowadays UConn women as great as they are, you turn a game on, it's 28-2 after 5 minutes, and it's like they have no games that are even competitive at all ever. And is that good? I think it's good for basketball because they have that villain. Everybody hates them and everything, but they're so good.
Yeah.
Gino says, "What do you want me to do? Not play hard?" He goes, "Tell your teams to get better."
Yeah.
And that's his answer. And it's
And, is it Gino or is it? I mean, they're hugely dominant. Is there enough depth in women college basketball players?
I think it's getting there. I think it's getting better.
Support,
Yeah.
And maybe 5 years ago, it doesn't seem that there was. There was enough depth to create two powerhouses.
Right.
And a huge drop off after that.
Well-
And it seems now you still have the Huskies here.
Right. Well, I think
Pretty good sized drop off.
I think what you're getting is that you get some of these girls like, I'll go to UConn, but I'm going to be third, fourth, fifth wheel. I'm the best player in my class or in my country, in this country, and I want to go somewhere where I can be the man or the girl.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge. You have to really go to UConn and be the team player. I mean, that's what he preaches, and that's what he gets away with. And you might average 2 points as a freshman, maybe 10 points as a sophomore, and then progressively, by the time you're senior, be an All-American, where you can go to University of South Carolina somewhere and be All-American as a freshman.
Right.
Yeah.
And get all the playing time, looks, and wherever.
And the thing about Gino is, he's a straight shooter, man. He just does it. He tells you exactly what it is. He doesn't care who you are, what you are, and he'll be on your butt. And he'll say to the girls like, "Okay, you want to." He said to Kara Walters one time, he goes, "You had a great game today. You got one more rebound than a dead person." And she's like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, you got one rebound tonight." And just stuff like that. It just his cryptic sense of humor. And he said Chris Daly there the whole time helping him out too. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah.
All right, George, we're just about done here. So my call is Alabama and Michigan this weekend.
Michigan. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
What do you think?
I like your picks.
Good job.
All right. Thanks, Joe.